Hey lovely food enthusiasts, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sonia and today we're diving into a culinary journey filled with flavors, aromas, and a dash of Eastern European magic. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join our growing community of food lovers. Tonight we're tackling dinner with 14 delicious ideas that are sure to tantalize your taste buds. From the heartwarming classics to the exotic and everything in between, we've got you covered. But here's the twist, we're doing it all from scratch. That's right, no shortcuts, just pure authentic goodness. So grab your apron, let's roll up our sleeves and embark on this culinary adventure together. Whether you're a seasoned chef or a kitchen newbie, these recipes are designed for you. And don't worry, I'll guide you through each step, ensuring your kitchen becomes a canvas for mouth-watering masterpiece. I've left timestamps in the description below, so feel free to jump to the dish that's calling your name. And if you enjoy what you see, give that like button a little love. It really helps the channel grow. Alright, enough talking, let's get cooking. Welcome to the feast, my friends. Let the culinary adventure begin. Going to be sharing with you chicken shawarma recipe. Shawarma is a very popular dish for my kids to eat, and they often get it at takeout, so I thought I'd give it a hand at trying somewhat of a similar dish to shawarma, because we all know shawarma meat is cooked a certain way, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do that at this time. So I'm going to start off with chicken breast. I have about 2 pounds here, and then you're going to need red pepper flakes, ground cardamom. I only have whole, so I'm going to ground up mine, some smoked paprika, coriander, lemon, garlic, then some oil, olive oil, cumin, and cayenne pepper. So I'm going to score my chicken, and then I'm going to add all the ingredients in and marinate it for a couple hours before I'm ready to cook it. I'm going to make little slices in the chicken breast, so that way I can really get all that seasoning into all the little crevices. If you're stopping by my channel for the very first time, welcome. My name is Sonia, and on this channel you will get tons of different recipes. A lot of them are Eastern European because that is my background, but I do live in Canada now, so I do include a lot of other dishes as well. And then I also like to share videos like What's for Dinner, where I share a little clips of what I serve my family every single day for dinner for that week. So if this is something that you think you might enjoy, I would love it if you consider subscribing, pressing the notification bell so you don't miss out any of my future uploads. And those of you who are returning, thank you so much for your continuing support. Now, I got my meat prepared earlier in the morning for the dinner. You don't have to do that. You just need to let it sit in the marinade for about an hour. But you could also leave it overnight in a fridge. It's totally up to you. You just want to make sure you massage it right into all those little crevices. So I covered mine and put it in a fridge until I was ready to cook it. So many hours later, this smelled so good without it even being cooked. I just want to put that out there. I preheated my oven to 375. I put a little bit of oil into my stone baking dish, and I put the chicken on there, and then any seasoning or the marinade that was left over in a bowl, I just poured it over top of it, and I baked it for about 40 minutes. I did a convex bake. If you don't have a convex bake, just bake until your chicken's done. I never know how long to bake chicken because they vary in size so much, so I always resort to using a meat thermometer just to make sure. But while the chicken was cooking, I did get my rice ready. So I had rinsed my rice. I used basmati rice. You can use white rice as well, or any rice you have. And I rinsed it for about a minute under running water. Then I added some broth, chicken broth in, and then I proceeded with adding seasoning. This is turmeric rice. I think on Instagram, on Pinterest, you can find it under yellow rice. So I added some butter. Now it did ask for half olive oil, half butter. I only had butter left. I didn't have any olive oil left, so I added just butter. I will have all the recipes linked down below so you can see all the proper measurements. Then I did some onion powder. My kids have been obsessed with eating rice, and they just they'll eat the plain rice, but I have been really upping my game when it came to rice making lately, just because they have been so into eating rice. Then I added some turmeric as well. Now, be careful with this. It will stain everything from your fingers to the countertop, everything. So it has such a strong color if you've never used it. And I also added some garlic in here, and I think there's going to be bay leaf as well that I'm going to add, and then some thyme. And don't forget some salt as well, and pepper. And then I gave everything a good stir, and then I put it to cook. And I always cook my rice for 3 minutes on the manual. High pressure, 3 minutes. And then I let the steam release naturally for about 10 minutes. And then you just go in there and fluff the rice. And it seems to work really good. It cooks the rice perfectly every time. One word of advice is I would turn off the Instapot immediately after the rice is done cooking, because like after your release for 10 minutes, because I find that if you leave it on to keep warm, it will burn to the bottom of the Instant Pot. And you can also spray it a little bit with the non-stick cooking spray, and that seemed to have helped as well. And while my chicken and rice were cooking, I was going to prepare a couple sauces. So the first one is tahini sauce, and I'm going to use the tahini paste, some water, some honey, some salt, garlic, some freshly squeezed lemon juice, and you're going to need a bowl and a whisk. And like I said, I will have all the measurements and everything linked down below. You kind of put everything together, mix it up, and let it sit for a little bit so all the flavors marinate together. And the next sauce I'm going to make is garlic sauce. And for that, you will need some mayo, freshly squeezed or lemon juice, and some garlic, as well as some Greek yogurt. And instead of my garlic press, I'm going to use this, I think it's called a mortar. I think that's what it's called, to create a paste out of the garlic. So I created a bit of like a buffet board. So I took out my chicken. Once it was done, I did slice it into slices right where I had cut the chicken before. I had sliced up some cherry tomatoes and some red onion, and I already had some lettuce chopped up. You could use a spring mix if that's what you have, or even spinach would work. And then here were my sauces, both of them. And then my rice turned out really good, very delicious, tasted even better the next day. I had created a bowl, and I think this is such a great thing for meal prep too. If you're looking for dishes for meal prepping, this would be a really good one that you can get your rice ahead, you can chop up all your veggies, and then just put it together for your lunches. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing a recipe called village meat, or as we call it, Selsko Meso. This is a dish that my mom used to make when I lived there. I'm sure she still does, I just don't live there. And it's also a dish that comes from our vacation spot that my family and I used to go to when I was little, called Ohrid, and this was always served at the resort that we stayed at. I am going to be making it with a side of homemade fries, as well as a kind of a green salad. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into this recipe. So for this recipe, I am using 2 onions, full package of mushrooms, some pork tenderloin, then I need some vegeta, some salt, salt and pepper, and some garlic as well, and some paprika, and some water and olive oil. I am preheating my cast iron and adding some olive oil to it, and then I'm going to saute the pork. I had cubed the pork as you saw it, and I'm going to add some salt, pepper, and some paprika to it. While that's cooking, I am going to prep my clay pan or a stone pan, baking pan, and by adding some olive oil, and I'm going to just use my brush to spread it around. I am going to now add paprika since the meat is almost cooked. Once everything is blended and cooked a little bit more, I am going to transfer the meat into my baking sheet or roasting pan or whatever you want to call this stone pan. I am leaving my pan on and I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. The pan is pretty hot, so it takes like no time to heat up the oil, and I'm going to add onions and garlic and saute it until fragrant. I am going to now take my onion and garlic and transfer it into a baking dish, and I'm also going to add my raw mushrooms. I have also forgot to mention that I am going to be using about 2 tablespoons or a quarter of a cup of 2/4 of a cup of flour. So I am leaving my pan on and I'm adding a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to add the flour to it and mix it up, and then add my vegeta to it and some water. If you don't have vegeta, you could possibly substitute the water and vegeta with some chicken broth. And I'm going to toss this, and I wanted to cook it, kind of bring it to a rolling boil and have it thicken up a little bit before I transfer it into the baking dish. Once it thickened up a little bit, I'm going to add it to the baking pan and the meat and all that mixture, and then I'm going to take all that and put it in the oven. I will have a full recipe with all the instructions linked down below, so that way you can check that out. While the meat is cooking, I'm going to get my home fries all set up. Now I like to peel my potatoes, cut them up, and soak them in the ice water for about half an hour. Then I drain everything, dry them out, and I'm going to add them to my air fryer. I'm using some avocados oil spray to spray my air fryer, and then I'm going to add them, and then once they are cooked, I toss them with vegeta. Vegeta is one of those seasonings that go well with everything, in my opinion. So when there's about 20 minutes left, I take my meat out and I am going to crumble some feta cheese on it. You can use goat cheese or you can use cow cheese. It's up to you which feta you want to use. I think mine is cow because that's the one I usually buy at Costco. And this is really to your taste of how much you actually want to put on. And then I'm going to put it back into the oven for the another 20 minutes or so. So here's my first batch of home fries, and I'm also made a salad with some Italian dressing from Olive Garden. I also buy that at Costco, and I just added some red onions as well as some tomatoes to my salad. And here is the meat. This is such a flavorful and delicious dish. The meat is so tender and it goes so well with home fries. Today I'm very excited and I'm going to be sharing with you some Asian meatballs. These are super easy to make. They're made in an air fryer, and you will need 2 pounds of ground pork. Then you'll need a teaspoon of ginger. I had shredded mine and it was frozen, so it's all a little wet. Then you will need about a teaspoon of garlic. I will press it through my garlic press. Half a cup of breadcrumbs, salt and pepper to taste, a teaspoon of sesame oil, and you will also need a teaspoon of soya sauce. And also 2 eggs. So I'm going to throw all this together, mix it up, and then in an air fryer it goes. I have made this recipe now several times and it has quickly become one of my family's favorite. It is so easy to make. You can make it low carb. You could probably leave out the little bit of breadcrumbs that go in it, but really there's not that much at all. And yes, it tastes really, really good. It's full of flavor. And like I said, you can serve it with rice, which is how I'm going to do it, or you can just have it as a side with the side of salad. I have also seen it done in a burger patty instead of a meatball. to shape them into meatballs. This can be any size you want. You can use a little measuring. So I'm going to spray my air fryer with some avocado oil, and I'm going to layer them in, and from as far as I can remember from last time I made this recipe, it's gonna take about 12 minutes, but you definitely want to keep checking. Don't take my word for it. I think I can put a little bit more. Put it on 14 just in case, but I will be double checking it. And halfway, kind of every 7 minutes, I would just flip them over, 5 to 7 minutes. Or you can shake it maybe, if they're cooked somewhat. Oh, with the meatballs, I'm going to make some rice. It's a little bit of a knockoff of Chinese fried rice. 1.5 cups of rice, 1.5 cups of water, some garlic powder, some ginger, pepper, sesame oil, and about 3 teaspoons of soy sauce. Stir it all up. Takes about 3 minutes to cook the rice. Takes about 6 minutes for the Instant Pot to come to pressure, and then after that you want to release it naturally for 10 minutes.
So here is the rice and the meatballs. Everything is done under half an hour, and I also made some dill pickle salad, and I had some garlic green beans from the night before. And for dipping sauce for the meatballs, I mixed up some honey with sriracha. In today's video, I'm sharing with you delicious Dijon chicken recipe with some sides. For this recipe, you will need some skin on and bone on chicken thighs, some bacon, onion, sour cream, Dijon mustard, garlic, fresh thyme, mustard seed, and some white wine. I will have a full recipe down in the description box for you. So I'm going to start off by preheating my skillet. I'm going to add some olive oil, and then I'm going to salt and put some salt and pepper on my chicken and massage it in. I also want to mention that today's video is part of a Foodie Friday collab that is hosted by Tiffany from Small Town 6 and Jessica from My Rose Nature. I will have both of their channels linked in the description box, as well as the playlist for you to check out. And make sure you do go over there and check out the playlist, because there's going to be tons of delicious recipes for you. We can make whatever we want on these Foodie Fridays, so I'm sure there's going to be a good variety for everyone. And also check out the hostess videos, which will all be linked in the description box. And if you're stopping by from the playlist for the very first time, or a returning viewer or subscriber, welcome back. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. So once my chicken is all seasoned, I'm going to just fry it for a little bit on each side. I'm not going for a full cook here. I'm just going for some browning and searing that flavor in. I usually prefer to have a skinless and boneless chicken thighs, but there is something to be said with some skin and bone and with the flavor that it adds to a recipe. And this one definitely benefited from all that flavor. You could for sure do it without with a boneless and skinless chicken thighs, but I think for even more flavor, you needed that skin and those bones. So I'm going to cook this on each side for about 2 minutes, and then once it's nice and crispy, well, nice and goldish color, I'm going to flip it. I did end up flipping mine back again just to cook that skin down a little bit more. If you watch my videos, you do know that I like to use a lot of cast iron and stone cookware. I just do think that that's one of the safest ways to cook without having to worry of too many chemicals leaking into your food. I am a little bit of paranoid for stuff like that. I also like to use as little as possible of boxed and canned stuff. Sometimes I can't get away from canned stuff, things like tomatoes and tomato paste and stuff like that, but I generally don't cook with canned soups. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just the way I am. So those are not the type of recipes that you will find here. Usually I try to use as fresh of ingredients as possible. I did cook this chicken in 2 batches just so I don't overcrowd the pan. So once the chicken was cooked the way I wanted it, so it doesn't have to be fully cooked, I transferred it onto a plate. But while it was cooking, the second batch, I did prepare my Brussels sprouts. Again, I'm using my cast iron baking dish. This one is from Pampered Chef, and I washed my Brussels sprouts, and I'm just going to half them all, and I also put some olive oil into my baking pan so the Brussels sprouts don't stick. I'm going to season them with some salt and pepper here, and then I'm going to also add just a little bit more olive oil on top of them, and then I'm going to toss them with some Parmesan. And I'm also going to add just a pinch of pepper flakes, red pepper flakes, just to add a little bit of heat. And I'm going to bake it with the chicken, and it will take about 45 minutes. It typically takes about 45 minutes to 50 minutes for in a 375-degree oven. Once I remove the chicken from the cast iron pan, I'm going to add my bacon. I am using my homemade bacon that we make and cure ourselves. I'm going to just fry it up to have the bacon to add back into the recipe, but also to add a little bit of flavor to that oil. When bacon is nice and crispy, I remove it, set aside, because I will be adding it back into the pan in just a little bit. I probably should have used one of those little scoops that have holes in them just to drain the fat, but since I'm putting it back in anyways, it's not a big deal, and I'm using the oil as well. So as you can see, my pan is pretty hot. I do end up turning the heat down a little bit just because that's with cast iron, they just do get really hot. So I'm going to cook my onion, and I'm going to cook it until it softens up. Once onion has softened up, I'm going to add my wine to it, and I'm going to reduce it a little bit. Once it had reduced about half its liquid size, I'm going to add my sour cream, my Dijon mustard, as well as the mustard seeds and thyme, and I'm going to cook that until it bubbles a little bit. And you want to stir it all the time just so it doesn't burn to the pan. I also added the sliced up garlic at this time. So it's nice and bubbly now. I turned down my heat even more, and now I'm going to add my bacon back in as well as my chicken, and I just want to make sure that all the chicken is nicely coated with all the sauce. I did add all of my chicken, and now I'm going to put it in the oven and bake it for about 40 minutes or so. And while that's baking, I had prepared some rice in an Instant Pot. This is so easy. You put the equal amounts of water and rice and turn it on for 3 minutes, and then just release it naturally for 10 minutes. And here it is. Delicious, delicious dinner. Some of that sauce I was able to put over my rice.
Today I'm going to be making crockpot Birria Tacos. This is a brand new recipe for me. I have never made it, and I had to substitute few ingredients because I could not find everything that was needed. I will link it down in a description box, the original recipe, for you to follow. But nevertheless, everything that goes in it sounds delicious, so I thought I'd give it a try. So here are some of the things you will need. I am going to be using a sirloin tip oven roast. Then you need bay leaf, oregano, cumin, and cinnamon sticks, as well as some smoked paprika. Then I'm going to add a chipotle peppers in adobo sauce, a few of these. Then you need to add some dried peppers. Now I searched it up because I could not find the dried peppers. The Tabasco is a good substitute. I'm not sure how that's gonna work, but I'll give it a try. And then I needed 5 roasted tomatoes. I could not find any, so I'm just going to use regular tomatoes. And then you need onion, garlic, tomato paste, apple cider vinegar. Oh, I also forgot to mention you also need coriander, beef stock, and some natural oil like avocado. I only have avocado spray, so I am using olive oil. So, and you're also going to need some ginger. So I'm going to start with browning my beef. Before I add my beef to the crock pot, I want to season it with some salt and pepper. I'm using freshly ground pepper. I do not have any freshly ground salt, so I'm just using a fine sea salt to season it. And then while I'm seasoning, I am also preheating my cast iron with some olive oil, and you want your cast iron to be super hot so that way you can get the proper sear on it. And so once it's hot, I add my beef and I just flip it all over until all the sides are seared. And then I add the beef to a crock pot, and I am adding all the rest of the ingredients in. I am using whole tomatoes, which I will just use my little handy tool to crush, so I can get crushed tomatoes. It's super easy, and that is what I had on hand. I will have all the recipes that I have linked in the description box for you, so that way you can see all the proper measurements, sizes of the meat, and all that stuff.
Once everything is added, I give it a little stir just to combine everything up a little bit. I do not use the plastic covers anymore because I've heard they're no good for you, so which I kind of suspected it, but so I decided not to use them anymore. I do cook this on low for 8 hours. Once the beef is cooked, I take it out, as well as all the bay leaf and the cinnamon sticks that I added. I take all that out, and then I use my immersive blender to blend the sauce up. And before I add the sauce, some of the sauce to the beef, I do shred it with just 2 forks, and pull it apart. So to assemble these tacos, I am dipping the corn tortillas into the sauce, adding them to a preheated pan with oil, and then I add cheese. We add the meat, and then we add some onion as well as some fresh cilantro, and we served it with the side of sour cream. And I also made a salad with a cilantro dressing. It's a kit called Baja kit. It comes with some seeds as well as crushed tortilla chips, but I did not use any of the seeds or the tortilla chips, just the dressing.
Dinner tonight, I'm making pork tenderloin. I'm going to season it with salt, pepper, garlic powder, parsley, red pepper flakes, onion powder, and paprika. And I did say black pepper, and I already oiled my pan. I'm gonna cover it and bake it for about half an hour at 400. To go with my pork, I am going to make garlic parmesan Brussels sprouts, and I have added 16 ounces, so about a pound of Brussels sprouts, 3 garlic cloves, half a cup of parmesan, half a teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, some black pepper, and I think that's it. And I'm gonna roast them for about 20 minutes in the oven.
I also made a mixed salad with some balsamic vinaigrette.
For dinner tonight, I'm making homemade pizza. I'm going to shred my cheese, and I already made 2 doughs, and I'm making another one, and I have a super easy dough recipe that's so easy to make and ready in no time. So I'm going to link it down below for you to check it out if you are looking for a quick and easy dough to make. So here is the pizza dough all spread out, and then I made sauce. I just used my whole tomatoes from a can, added some garlic, oregano, red pepper flakes, some Parmesan, salt and pepper, and blended it. And then I shredded a mozzarella pizza cheese. And then I'm going to open up a can of artichokes because I like artichokes in my pizza. Also, we got hard-boiled eggs. And here are some of the other ingredients. Everybody puts their own toppings. So we got tomato, red onion, pepper, some homemade bacon, pepperoni, mushrooms, and then homemade sausage. And it's cured. So it is all done. Here they all are. I cooked them on the stones. I put the stones in when I preheat the oven, and I can fit 4 stones inside this oven. For dinner tonight, I'm making chicken and pasta. So I have my chicken breast seasoned and ready to go in the oven, and I season them with some paprika, garlic powder, salt, pepper, red chili, pepper flakes, and a touch of basil and vegeta. And then over here, I am doing some sauce, and I'm using Brussels cheese. This is like a TikTok inspired one. I've made it before, and I added some cloves of garlic, tomatoes, salt, pepper, and a little bit of basil. Both of go in the oven, and then I'm going to cook my pasta and spiralize my zucchini while that's in the oven.
I served everything with the side of Caesar salad.
For dinner tonight, I am making tacos. Some of us will have taco bowls, and some of us will have tacos with hard shells. So I got beef, got my veggies that I'm gonna put in there. Then I'm going to make a guacamole and rice. So first thing I'm gonna do is chop up my veggies and get that started. So my veggies are ready. I also made some taco seasoning, and I'm going to saute my onion and garlic first. Once the onion and garlic are sauteed, I'm going to add my pepper. I've added meat in, and I'm going to add some salt and freshly ground pepper. So I'm going to make some cilantro lime rice, and I'm adding some bay leaves, some broth, and then I am making 3 cups of rice, so I'm going to add 3 cups, and I added 3 cups of broth. That way I'll have enough for tomorrow as well. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper as well. And I'm gonna cook it on high pressure for 3 minutes. I'm also going to now add some taco seasoning. Stir it up and cook some more. So I'm going to get my guacamole ready. So I have 1/4 of an onion, I have half a tomato, cilantro, and there's half a jalapeno in here, and I'm going to process this, and then I'm gonna add my avocados and just make it as smooth or as chunky as you want. And then don't forget salt and pepper. And also half a juice of lemon or lime. Now I'm going to add about a tablespoon of tomato paste to my meat. The meat is cooked. So this is chopped up, and now I'm going to use my avocado knife and get the avocados out. I also made a little sauce with half a cup of yogurt, a Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of Frank's Red Hot, and half a teaspoon of lime or lemon juice. So here is the rice. Ouch. I'm just going to remove the bay leaves, fluff it out, and then I'm going to add my chopped up cilantro and half a lemon juice instead of a lime. So here it is. The rice is done, the meat is done, and here are all the fixings. Now we're going to assemble them. For dinner tonight, we're having soup and sandwiches, and I am making a French baguette. I have a really good recipe that I will link down below that takes no time to make, and it tastes delicious. And I'm going to be making a loaded cauliflower soup to go with it.
So once I shaped my dough into baguettes, I let it rest for 30 minutes. I then preheated my oven, but before I got the oven going, I did add a pan with some water in it to heat up with the oven.
So for the soup, you're gonna need some cauliflower, onion, and garlic to start with. So I'm preheating my Dutch oven first so I can saute my garlic and my onions. And then I'm also throwing up my broth to put in the soup. So I cut up some homemade bacon and I'm just going to fry it up to put in the soup once they're in a bowl, if anybody wants to add some soup and cheese. And I'm also going to cut up some scallions too.
This is such an easy recipe to make and ready in no time. Let me know if you would like to get the full recipe of this baguette. And here is my full meal. So delicious and easy.
For dinner tonight, we're making spaghetti, and we just ground up the meat using the mixer. I have this attachment, and then I am just sauteing some onions, chopped up some garlic. I'm gonna put some red peppers in here, and then go from there.
So once my onion and veggies were sauteed, I also added red peppers. I added my soppressata, strained crushed tomatoes, and all the other seasonings like basil, bay leaf, parsley, and oregano. And then I simmered that, brought it to a boil and simmered it for a while. I also spiralized some zucchini, and I like to heat it up in some olive oil, and I also cooked some pasta for the kids.
For dinner tonight, I am making homemade ramen soup. So I am thawing out my homemade broth. I added some ginger, minced ginger, and then I am hard boiling some eggs. And I also going to use my food chopper to chop up the garlic. So I have added some soy sauce as well as you need rice wine vinegar, but I'm all out, so I googled it and said the good substitute is apple cider vinegar. So I'm sure it's not gonna have the same flavor, but it'll have to do for now. So the soup came to a boil. I turned it down to simmer. The eggs are done, and I'm going to add some peppers and the bok choy. So I have added noodles in, and then I also cut up the egg and some spring onion to garnish it.
This was a very quick meal and so delicious. Well,
for dinner tonight, I'm making Thai lettuce wraps, and for the veggies, I'm going to use some bok choy, some green onions, and pepper. You can use cabbage, different colored pepper, whatever you whichever way you want the flavor to go. And then for seasoning, I'm using a red curry paste, some salt, pepper, hoisin sauce, and as well as ginger. Now, as for fresh ginger, I'm all out of fresh ginger, so I'm going to use ground ginger. And for my protein, you can use turkey. I am using pork because that's what we have on hand right now. I'm waiting for the chicken to come on sale so I can stock up. So I have my wok really hot. I am using, mine is the Breville electric wok, and I'm going to cook my chicken first. Oh, and I forgot, you also need garlic. And I'm going to cook my pork, not chicken.
I am using the same tool to separate my pork as I did for crushing my tomatoes, and I just watched a video where someone used it to scramble up eggs. This is like an all-purpose tool. Then I chop up my veggies that I want to add to my lettuce wraps, typically it's cabbage, but I have been using cabbage now for this week already, and I ran out, but I had tons of bok choy left over, so I ended up chopping that up to add, and nobody even noticed the difference. I'm also going to add a red pepper to it as well. After the pork is just about cooked, I'm going to add some garlic and the rest of the ingredients, but the veggies, and then once the pork is done, I will be adding all the veggies. And here it is, what it looks like. I think it just looks so beautiful with all the veggie colors in it. And again, I will be using that same lettuce, which is romaine lettuce, as the previous recipe, to serve it with some sriracha on top.
Tonight for dinner, I'm going to make chicken cacciatori. So I'm going to start off with making my sauce. This looks a lot more elaborate than what it is, but I am going to use 2 cans of my peeled tomatoes. And then I'm going to add some red pepper flakes, parsley, vegeta, oregano, basil, and bay leaf, and some salt and pepper. But first I'm gonna cut up an onion and some garlic, and I'm going to chop that up and saute it in my olive oil, which I'm preheating. So I've sauteed my onions and garlic. I'm going to add my canned tomatoes. I am going to press the tomatoes just to crush them. And then I'm going to add all my seasonings.
Now I'm going to add all of my herbs, and to be quite honest with you, I just eyeballed this. I've been making this recipe for such a long time that I don't really have specific measurements. It's more to taste. If you would like to see how I make this for canning, I have shared, I think, this recipe on this channel, or was it on my other channel? I will try and find it and link it in the description box. But if you would like to see it, how I make it just whenever I make spaghetti or whatnot at the time of the cooking, more detailed recipe, please let me know and I can share that with you from start to finish. But once everything is in there, I will end up letting it simmer for about an hour or so. So this definitely could be replaced with just a normal ragu sauce or a tomato sauce. About halfway through, I am going to get my pasta cooker ready with some salt, and I'm going to make some pasta. This will take a little while to come to a boil, and then once it does, I cook my pasta for about 7 minutes.
So I had chopped up my garlic, and I'm going to saute chicken with the garlic. I am also going to be adding some veggies into the pasta.
And I also want to add some fresh spinach with my veggies. And this is the pasta that I'm going to be using. I get this at Costco. So here are all of my veggies all chopped up. I cut them fairly big. The chicken's already done, so I just saute everything in the same pot, starting off with onions and peppers first, and once they are almost cooked, I add my spinach, and then the last thing that I add is my zucchini. So once everything is cooked, I took half of it out. I'm going to add sauce in it. The pasta is already done and my pans are ready. So the first half will be just the ones with no pasta in it for my husband and I shredded some cheese, and the second one I mix with pasta, and then the same thing, cheese. So here they are in the oven for about half an hour, and this tasted absolutely delicious, and I made some Caesar salad to go with it. I hope you guys enjoyed this compilation of dinner ideas. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and make sure you stay tuned, because next week I will be sharing with you how a $400 grocery haul and what you get here in Ontario, Canada. So until next time, hope you guys have a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching.